So yesterday I set the expectations how this course is going to take up because before we start doing a deep dive into AWS data engineering and data analytics, the first thing that we need to do is we need to get in touch with the AWS cloud. Okay, and then for any cloud computing, as I that there are a couple of core services that you need to manage, that you need to be good at. Okay, at least you should go into the AWS management console and then create a server. Create a server means create a computing machine, or else you need to have some storage space where you want to store some data. Okay, or else you need to go into the AWS and then start creating some users, start giving some privileges. Okay, all those particular things you need to do, as well as you need to set up the networking, because in cloud everything has to be available on demand, right? You need to spin the servers, you need to spin the virtual machines, and then you need to release them once your activity is completed, basically. So that's the reason. And as I have told you, something called as capex and opex. Capex stands for capital expenditure, and opex stands for operational expenditure. Capital expenditure is a one-time investment that you do while you are starting your projects. Okay, operational expenditure is something that you do on a month to month thing, basically you do. So that's the reason when you are doing your monthly expenditure, you should also be in a position to understand what is your budget, what are your limitations, and there are also the considerations that you need to do in order to limit your budgeting alarms and all those particular things. Yesterday one of my friend came to me, and then we were discussing about the Halloween. Okay, our daughters went to that Halloween party here, and then he was telling me, Ravi, I have created this account long back. Okay, and then the 365 days free trial account is completed. I have spin some servers and then started running some applications in that AWS cloud. But the thing is that I forgot that user ID and password. Okay, but the bad thing is he's getting the recurring billing every month. Ravi, what should we do? Murali, what can we do? Can we only enjoy the show like that, or can we
recover the password and go to the account and stop the services?
recover the password? And in case if the password is not recovered, obviously what you need to do is that you need to go to the customer support, raise a ticket, and say that all your possible information, whether it is your first name, last name, credit card, debit card, what you have used, try to give the best possible information, because in case if you are having a short-term memory loss, try to give it to them, and then they'll try to help you out in that one, basically. Okay, so that's the reason it is always better to keep track of your user IDs and passwords, and to keep track of these secret keys and secret passwords also as well, and everything. We are going to discuss everything here. So that's why we need to be really, really mindful while we are playing with respect to this Amazon Management Console, because that takes you away, basically, in case if you are not mindful in doing these things here.
So if none of the servers are running, just account is open is fine, right? Like we
Yes,
don't.
of course. And
They
one more
don't.
thing is, one more thing, Ravi Kumar, is you have this free trial account. That means that you can have something like 720 hours. 720 hours means 1 month, right? 1 month.
But that is also their 1 year, right? Whichever comes faster.
Yeah, whichever comes first, exactly.
No, I'm because we forget this is common thing. We'll forget that
Yeah.
So if no server is running, nothing is there, then even the account is there, it's not an issue, right?
Exactly. Yeah, it's not an issue.
So best thing is we have to shut down the clusters, all this, whatever it is there, we have to remove it basically. Like once.
Exactly.
Okay.
If you don't do these things, what happens is that you'll need to pay that penalty, basically, in the long run. That's the reason we need to be really attentive and mindful doing those things. Okay. Having said all those particular things, welcome to this Amazon Management Console, where I expect and I encourage everybody to create this free trial account. In case if you have not done that one, I will send you a PPT maybe today night, okay, to with those particular screenshots to help you creating this free trial account. So when we create this one, you have two things here. So I think Harish or somebody else is asking me, Sai, I think they're asking me, I have two things here, a root user and then IM user, and then this root user email address is there. Okay. Before I do that one, let me tell you the way I have created this free trial account creation. I don't go through this thing today because I'll give you this free trial thing and then you can try it on your own. So it will be a step-by-step process that you can do. And I don't give this credit card and debit card information. You should be able to create that particular account on your own. Okay. So once this is done, the next thing what we do here is we come to this place of this Amazon Web Services. So initially, the moment once you have signed up in this free trial account, you will be considered as a root user. You will be considered as a root user. So here there are two options. One is root user and then the IM user. So the first time once you are logging in, you need to mention this one as a root user, and then you need to mention your user ID, email address you need to mention. Okay, the root user is always identified with the help of the email address what you have given at the time of registration. The moment once you click on this next, it will be asking you to mention the password. Please mention that password.
Arvind, ನಿಮಿಷ ಬನ್ನಿ.
Hi Ravi, here I have a question. So for this root user, we need to sign up by ourselves with our credit card, right? I mean, I need to set up by ourselves, right?
Exactly, ma'am. Yes, yeah.
Okay, so we have to then, okay, right.
Yeah, you need to set up on your own. Okay. Once this is done, it will be asking you to click on this sign in button here where you sign in. The moment once you sign in, this is the place where you land in, basically. Okay. So I'm not going into the other things here. That is cost and usage is very much important that you need to know at some point of time. But here, these are all recently visited services what I am having here. But when you go to these services, you can see the list of all the services that you're having here. Okay. Now, one thing that you need to understand here is when you try to open this one, you will be given this account ID. You need to take care of this account ID here, because through this account ID only, obviously what happens is that every user is going to be created. Every user is going to be created. That's why you need to take care of this particular account ID. And then yesterday I was telling you, like AWS is having a global presence. When I said that AWS is having a global presence means it is available in those 25 geographical regions, right? So it is also available in Hyderabad also as well. Murali, please don't ask me how this Hyderabad thing has come into the picture. It is available in Hyderabad also as well. Okay. In Mumbai also it is there, in India. So the place where you are existing in the closest proximity, you will be able to see this region, which is North Virginia for me, basically. Okay. There are a lot of things which are also existing here, which are not really important. That is one thing that you have done. Okay. Now, the first thing is this root user, what you're having here is a super user. Is a super user which has to be used only within the abnormal occasions, which has to be used only within the abnormal occasions only we need to use. Only within the unexpected and extraordinary scenarios only we need to use the root user. So that's why the moment once you log in, obviously what you are expected to do is you are expected to create another user. Okay, that another user is should be the user through which you need to log in. So that's why initially when you have logged in, you have seen, right? There are two options. One is a root user, and what is the second one you have seen? Kavita, what is the second one you have seen? IAM user you have seen, right? IAM user. Okay. That IAM user is nothing but your identity and access management. That IAM is nothing but your identity and access management. That's the reason when you go to these services, here you have something called as security, identity, and compliance is there. When you try to open this security, identity, and compliance, you have something called as IAM. That is nothing but manage access to this AWS resources. So that's the reason you need to select this particular IAM and then click this one. Once you click this one, what is basically it is containing? It is containing this user groups. It is containing your users, roles, and policies. So that's why today's topic and tomorrow's topic is going to be this IAM. That means that the moment once you get into the Amazon Web Services, you need to be aware of whatever dimension you go, whether you go into DevOps, whether you go into database, whether you go into data engineering or something of that sort, you should be good with respect to these things at a minimum. This is what is the least expectation that you're having. User groups, users, roles, and policies. These are the 4 things that you need to understand. And today and tomorrow, we'll be focusing on these things and make you comfortable so that the expectation is you'll be able to create one more user apart from the root user what you're having. And next time when you're going to log in, you are not expected to log in into your root user, but you're supposed to log in into your IAM user basically. That's the reason the first thing what we do is that we go to this particular users. Already a user has already been created, that is AWS DA has been created. D is data engineering and DA is data analytics. So I want to create an user. So here what I do is that I'll try to create something else, since we are going to start with the data engineering initially and then finally go to the data analytics. I'll create this one as AWS DE. And what is this one you're having here? The moment once the user is created, the first thing that he need to be provided is he should be provided to this Amazon Management Console, that is AWS Management Console. So that's the reason you have to check this one, provide access to this AWS Management Console. Okay, so are you providing console access to this person? Okay, so what I want to do here, I don't want to create in the identity center, which is not recommended basically. They say that this is recommended, but I want to create them as a IAM user. I want to create them as a IAM user. So, and one more thing, you as a root user, you are expected to create the IAM users for your team members. Then in such a case, what you do is that you try to create this auto-generated password. And then what we do is that you need to mention something like users must create a new password at the time of logging in. If you are trying to create the user, not for yourself, but somebody else, you need to do these things. But in case, if I'm trying to create the user for myself, I need to create this custom password and then mention this one here. Please don't share the passwords. Okay. And then what you do is that you click on this next button. So the steps what I'm telling is provide access to the user management console, which is optional because I need to access to this user management console only initially. Login console, and then what you do is that you click on this next button. You click on this next button. Okay. Now, what is being done here? You're having something like add user to the group, copy permissions, and add policies directly. So the first thing, let me tell you one thing. When the user is created, that means that initially that user happens to be a dummy user. Initially that happens to be a dummy user. So when you say something called as the dummy user, that means that that user cannot do anything. You have to give the permissions. The moment once you give the permissions, what happens is that he takes those permissions and then use those permissions to do something in AWS. It is as if when you join as an employee in a new IT company, in a different IT company, initially you will be having anything else, right? You will be dummy. They need to give the servers, they need to give the permissions, they need to give the access and all those things. Then only you can become functional. So to make this new user functional, obviously what I need to do is that I need to attach them to a group already existing, or else I need to give them the permissions. If I don't do anything, this user is of no use. That's the reason I want to add this user to the group. Okay, when I want to add this particular to the group, assuming that these groups are not existing. Okay, so what I want to do is that I'm not creating, I'm not supposed to use the root user, right? Root user will be having all the permissions within AWS. That means that what I need to do, I need to create another user in order to provide him the required admin privileges in order to operate this account. That's why the root user happens to be a backup. The root user happens to be a backup. So that's the reason what I do is that I click on this button, add user to the group, and then click on this next. What you're having here, you're having something called as create group that exists. Click on this create group. So I'll try to create this particular group as a admin group. So Murali, I have a question here. When you're creating this admin group, what is something that we need to have? We need to have these admin privileges, right? When I have these admin privileges, that means that I can use this AWS DE just like a root user. Okay, so that means that for this admin group, what I'm doing is that I'm having something called as the permissions. Permissions in the case of AWS is treated as policy. Very, very important. Very, very important. So that's the reason these are all your AWS predefined policies. These are all your AWS predefined policies. So here, what is being done here? There is something called as administrator access is there, right? There is something called as the administrator access is there, and within this administrator access, what you're having here, you're having something called as provide full access to this AWS services. So that's why I'll try to create a type of group called as admin2, because the administrators is already there. I'm trying to create this admin2, and then what I do is that I click on this create user group. Okay. So the name is not important. Click on this create group. Administrators group is there. So here what I'm doing is that I'm trying to add this one to this admin2 group, which is created just now, and then click on this next. Click on this next here. Once you click on this next, then what you can do is that you can have the option of creating this particular user here. Here, it is giving you a console sign-in URL. Okay, within this console sign-in URL, one thing that you can see is that Ravi AWS DEDA is something called as I have created an alias name. I'll tell you how to create that alias name. So what you do is that you copy this console here. Copy this console here, and then what you do is you go to this place, create a new incognito window. You know why are we creating this new incognito window? Because when I try to open the new tab within the same window, what happens is I'll be able to log in into the same AWS management console with the earlier user ID what I have created. That's the reason when I want to create within this private mode with a different user, you go with this new incognito window, you go like this. So this is what is nothing but you can browse yourself privately, and other people who use this device will not see your activity. That is what is called as incognito. Here what you do is you mention this one and then click on this paste button. So is it not this account ID is already coming here? Now, what is the difference you are seeing here, Kavita Garu? You are not seeing something called as sign in as an IAM user here. If you are not really interested in signing an IAM user, you can have the option of trying to sign in as a root user email also as well. Okay, but since I want to log in as a IAM user, what I can do is that I can mention something like Ravi DA, that is the data engineer, and then the password I have given. So please mention this password. And click on this sign in button here. Is this the same thing that I have created? AWS D, right? On the sign. So it is asking me to change your password. To change your password, I think I have mentioned that one as change the password once you log in. So that's the reason what you do is that you mention this password. Okay, and then create this new user ID and password here. And then click on this password change. I don't know what happened. Here you have come here, but what are the permissions that I have given here for this one? You tell me. What are the permissions that I have given here for this new user?
You didn't assign any permissions, right?
I assigned him to the group, right?
Yeah, but group you didn't assign any like admin. You
And
didn't select.
within the group, didn't enter something like do one thing here.
You didn't select anything. That's what. Like.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay. So if we don't select anything, obviously what happens is if I try to go to this IAM and then select this particular IAM, see what happens. If I have not selected anything, access is denied. You don't have any permissions here. That means that this user happens to be a dummy user that has been created. I forgot, I think. Okay, so user is created. Once this user is created, then what you do is that you go to the users. Go to the users. So this is the user that has been created. So with this user, what you do is that you select this user. Okay. When you go to the groups, this is the group that I'm having here. So for this particular group, there are no attached policies basically. So when you go to this admin 2, here, what I can do is that I can go to the permissions. Within the permissions, what I can do is that I can mention something called as AWS attach policies. When you attach this particular policy, what happens is I'm trying to give this administrator access, that is provide full access to all your AWS services. And then what you do is that you try to attach this policy to the group. I'm attaching this policy to the group like this. Okay. Once it is attached, then what you do is that you come to your new cognitive window right here. And then what you do is that you try to refresh this one. Kumar, are you seeing the change here or not?
Yes, yeah.
we are seeing the change here. This is the change that we want. That's the reason. The first thing what you need to do is that you need to create the root user. Then you need to go ahead and then start creating your IAM user, and that particular IAM user should be attached to a group. Okay, that group should be given some permissions. Those permissions are treated as the policies, so that the first user whom you are creating should have the same replica what has been created for the root user, because I'm planning to create my root user as a backup, right? I'm planning to create my root user as a backup and should be used only within the extraordinary cases only. That's the reason I'll be using this AWS DA or DE as a root IAM user in order to provide all these administrative related activities. This is the first thing that we have done. So any questions you are having till this point of time, please let me know. I'll repeat once again if you're not able to follow, but this is crucial. What is really required to create a user and an IAM user in this particular case. So any questions, the new guys and all the people from all the things, Maulia, Murali, Pari, Ravi, Ravikumar, Sai Ganesh Garu, Sumana, and all those people. In case if you have any questions, please let me know. This is important.
Ravi, can we add multiple users to the same group?
Of course. We're going to do that one, madam. You see here. So the topic what we are going to discuss is AWS Identity and Management, which is called as AWS IAM. Okay. So when you try to do this one, IAM stands for what is that one here? Identity and Access Management. It is treated as a global service. Why it is treated as a global service? Can anybody let me know why it is treated as a global service? How can you know that this IAM is a global service here? The moment once you go to this dashboard, you can see here it is a global here. Global here. And again, here also, when you go into this cognitive dashboard, also you see this one as global here, because this is a service that is available for all the regions and it is not region specific. That's why such type of service is treated as a global service here in this case. Okay, this is treated as a global service in this particular case here. And the thing what I told you here is it is a global service. First thing what I told you here, root user account is created by default, should not be used or shared. Okay, users are the people within your organization and then they can be grouped. So I think somebody is asking the question, right? Who is that one? I don't know.
Sir, Sumana here.
Sumana, yeah.
Sir, this root user account I have done it, but this IAM one I have not yet started. Should we do along with you parallelly, or you are just explaining and later you are expecting?
I'm just explaining and later if you can do that would be good, madam. Because
parallelly I'm not able to do.
No, please don't do that one parallelly. Never.
Okay.
Please follow the concepts. Please follow the navigation. I'll be sharing that recording and accordingly you can start doing that one. Make sense?
Okay. Thank you, sir.
Yeah, sure. So users are the people within your organization and then they can be grouped. I told you, right? Groups only contain users. Groups doesn't contain other groups. Users don't have to belong to the group. I can have a simple user that can be created here. So that's the reason you can have the group of developers. You can have this group of operations basically, and then you can have this particular Fred who happens to be an isolated user who doesn't belong to a group. And one more thing is that you can create a cross group and then include the members from each team also as well. And then include the members from this each group also as well in this case. Is this clear? Group, that is the first thing. And second thing is that for every group, what I told you here, you need to have the permissions that should be created. So for example, when you go to this, Pari, I hope you are following, right? So here, when you go to these groups, where are the groups here? These are the groups that I'm having. So I created 3 groups. Administrators group I have created, admin 2 I have created, along with the developers I have created. Okay. So here, when I try to open this administrators 2, what you're having here? You're having something called as AWS D is there. That is the user. But every group is having something called as the permissions that exists. So you open this permissions. When you open this particular permissions, what I told you here, permissions in the case of AWS is basically treated as policies. They're basically treated as policies. These policies are very important. There are 2 to 3 types of policies. One is AWS created policies. Okay. And the second thing is AWS created policy is treated as AWS managed job function. This has been created by AWS and then this is being managed by AWS. And there is second thing that we need to take into consideration, that is treated as user created policies. User created policies that we'll be talking about. And the third one, what you're having here is inline policies. Inline policies means suppose when you see this user Fred, when you see this user Fred here, that Fred doesn't belong to any group, right? So that means that I can directly attach a policy to this Fred. When I'm planning to directly attach a policy to this Fred, such a type of policy is treated as inline policy. So 3 policies: AWS created, user created, and directly attaching the policies to that user, that is treated as AWS created inline policy. So this is basically an inline policy. The thing what I have been showing you here is nothing but this policy here. So I just want to go ahead into this administrator access and then see what it actually contains. What it actually contains. When you click on this administrator access, you can see that there are a lot of permissions that are being attached here. These are all the permissions. So far, what I have told you here, this one provides full access to the AWS services and resources. So far at this particular point, how many services that you're having here, guys? 383 web services are being there within AWS so far. So that means that when you get this administrator access, you'll be able to access all these particular policies, all these particular services basically. That's why you have been given full access to all these particular things. Budgeting is there. You have this backup storage is there. You have something like Alexa is there somewhere. Yeah, Alexa. Yeah, Alexa for business is there. So you have all these particular things that exist here. These are all having this particular full access. And one more thing is that when you click on this JSON, what is this JSON? Anybody can tell? JavaScript object-oriented notation here. This one you're having. What is this one here? I'm having something like effect is allow. That means that I'm allowing the access. Star means every action that I want to do. This star means on all these resources. On all these resources. So that means that this is the policy that you have been created here. This is something that you cannot change. Why? Because what is the reason why you cannot change this one? Can anybody tell?
Because it belongs to AWS.
Because it is an AWS managed policy. That's the reason you cannot change this one at any cost. This was created in 2015. You cannot change that one. Okay. So this is what is treated as a policy. So policy can be viewed as a summary, as well as policy can be created with the help of this JSON document also as well. So I hope everybody understood what is a policy. The policy defines the set of permissions. Why should we have these permissions to be assigned to the user? Because if you don't assign these permissions to the user, what happens is that user becomes dummy and they're good for nothing. That's the reason you need to assign the permissions. Okay. Now I have a question. Please try to help me understand. Is it better to attach permissions directly to the users, or it is always better to attach the permissions to the groups and then bring this user belong to that group. Which one is better? Shall I repeat the question here once again?
To the
Once
group.
yeah. So once you have created the user, shall I assign the permission directly to the user, or else put the user as a part of the group, assign the policy to that group so that that user can inherit that policy. For example, I created this admin and then I created a user here. So when you attach the policy to the group, automatically what happens is when this user belongs to that group, he will also inherit that particular policy. Is that better or this is better? Somebody told it is better to attach the policy to the group. Why?
Because if you we can add only one policies, inline policy we cannot add multiple. If the user if we add the policies to the group means a same user have two different same person can be in two different groups where he can inherit two different policies.
Yeah,
I mean,
you can have the option of inheriting two different policies. That means that when you want to have this policy to be reused, okay, then it is always better to assign that one to a group. Okay, so I told you like policies are nothing but the permissions, and policies are nothing but the permissions. And another thing what I told you is these particular policies can be created with the help of this JSON document also as well. So let me go ahead and then do something here with respect to this one. Suppose here I'm in user here. This is the difference. I created a user called as AWS DE. This is one user that I have created. That means that this is an IAM user here. Okay, but the moment once you go and then check this one, because I have signed in as a root user. What is this one here? This November bootcamp, what I have specified here is nothing but your account name that has been given. So when you have created the user, for example, when you have created this user here, you might have given this one, right? Let me show you here. You have given this one, right? AWS account name. This November bootcamp, what you have mentioned for this root account is something that will be coming here, and then you can see this one here. So by seeing this account name, you can mention that one as you have been logged in as a root user, and then by seeing this particular global, you can see that the services what you have been using is global, not region specific. IAM is global, basically. Okay. Now what I'm going to do is that I'm going to go to this user groups. I'm going to go to this user groups. In this one, I have this admin2 is there. Within this admin2, I'll select this one and then I'll remove this one here. Now tell me what happens. Now tell me what happens here. When I refresh this one, you see that beta. You will not be able to access anything here. You'll not be able to access anything here. Okay. So what I do now is I go to this place. And here what I do is that I go to this policy. Okay. I want to create this one as create policy. I'm trying to create my new policy here. So here, what it is that I'll try to select a service called as IAM here. Okay. Here, I'll try to select something called as all IAM actions that I'm creating here. All IAM actions that I'm creating here. Read, select, write, and all those particular things. Or else what I do is 1 minute. Go to these policies. Select this one as IAM. Okay. Within this one, what I'm doing is that I'm trying to mention this read-only access here. Okay. I'm creating this policy. Okay. And here, what I'm doing is that you click on this next here. Get user. And then I use something like list users. Select this one. And then what you do is that click on this next. This thing required field action. Where is that one here? One minute. Go to the policies. Here, go to the user. 1 minute. This one. Add permissions here. There are two things here. One is you can try to add this permissions here, as well as you can have the option of creating this inline policy. So I want to add permissions here. When I'm trying to add permissions, what I'm doing is that I'm trying to attach these policies directly. Okay. Here, what you do is that you try to mention this one as IAM here. Within this IAM, I'm trying to give this one as IAM full access. Give this IAM full access and then click on this next. And then add these permissions to this one. Add these permissions to this one. So that means that what is being done here, these are the two policies that has been attached directly to this user here, basically. That is attached directly to this particular user. Okay. Now, when you come here and then when you try to open this one, this is not working right now. The moment once you go and then again refresh this one, you should be able to see the things here in this particular case. So here, did we attach this policy to a group, or this is the policy that has already been created to this user, basically? My question is clear to you guys? I have taken this user out of the group. AWS DE is something that has been created out of the group. That means that he loses their administrative privileges. Okay, since he loses those administrative privileges, then what I have done here, I went directly to that user. I went directly to that user here, and to this particular user, what I have done is that I have given this IAM full access. That means that he can have the option of directly accessing this particular access directly here. So what is the difference between that earlier access and this access? This access will be the full access only limited to IAM only. Limited access only to that IAM only. So that means that he can have the option of creating the users, roles, policies, and user groups he can create. But apart from this one, suppose if I go here and then select something called as S3. I want to create a bucket. S3 storage I want to create. So when you go to this particular S3 and when you try to create a bucket like this, once you mention these particular things, and when you click on this create bucket, it shouts something like you are not entitled to create these particular buckets. You are not entitled to create that particular buckets basically. Suppose, let me try this one here. Specify these things, and then when you click on this create bucket, bucket you create, and then when you click on this create bucket here, fail to create this particular bucket because this create bucket permission is really required. Ravikumar, you are seeing this one here, right? Why? Because this particular user has been given only the IAM related access only. IAM related access only. That's the reason you will not be entitled to do other operations within this one. That's why these policies, the permissions, and what is the other one that you are having here? Policies, permissions, and those particular groups play a very vital role in your entire AWS related activities. Okay. Any questions so far? Are you clear? Please let me know.
Can you quickly show once again this second one, like how
This one?
the role you created, no new role.
Okay. So, okay.
Yeah, quickly, like
So
just show.
here, let me select this one and remove this one here. Remove this policy here. Okay. Now, since this is removed here, when I go to this place and when I go to this user and then select this particular IAM here, IAM, and then when I try to access, access is denied. Is that clear so far, Ravikumar?
Yes, yeah.
Okay. Now, what you do is that you come to this place. Okay. And here you have these users. And who are the users that you are having here? This is the user, AWS DE. Okay. Within this DE, you open this one. When you open this one, you have these permissions that exist. There are two types of permissions that you can do. You can have the option of adding the AWS manager permissions directly here, or else you can have the option of creating your own user policy that is an inline policy. So I want to add the permissions. The difference is earlier we added the permissions to the group, and then the user has inherited those permissions. Okay. Now what I'm doing is that I click on this add permission. I click on this add permission. Here, am I adding the user to the group? No. Am I copying the permissions? No. What I'm doing here, I'm trying to attach the policies directly. Attach a managed policy, not a user created policy. Okay. Within this managed policy, what you do is that try to mention this one as IAM. So now here what I'm doing is that instead of this full access, what I'm doing is that I'm giving this read-only access only I'm giving here. Is that clear? Read-only access. That means that he will be able to see only the list of users, but he will not be able to create the users. I'm giving this IAM read-only access only, and then click on this next. Okay. And then click on this add permission here. That permission is added. Okay. Now, when you come here and then when you see here, when you try to refresh this one, what happens? You'll be able to see this one. Ravikumar, you see the change now?
Yes, yeah.
You see the change here. Now, what I want to do is that I want to go to the users. Who are the people? I need to get these names and all those particular people. Chetu, Deepu, Durga, Harish, and all those particular people. Kavita Garu and Manogna. Now, my question is, can we create the user here or not?
No, actually, we are already in the users.
Why can't we create the user?
Read only.
Because I have given only the read-only permission. Since I have given the read-only permission, I am not at all entitled to create the user. If you still go ahead and then start creating the user, assuming that everything is good, it is something like during the corona time, you go to the office saying that you don't have any corona. But once you move something, and then start clicking on this next, clicking on this next, and clicking on this create user, it shows user was not created, you're not authorized to perform. That is as good as the power of policies and permissions that we apply to these users in AWS. Is that clear to you? That is the difference. Okay. Now, before I wind up today, the next thing that I want to do is I was talking about something called as JSON document, JavaScript object notation, JSON. So here in the policies, wherever you are creating in that particular policies, we need to refer to this EAR, EAR. E is effect, whether you allow or deny. Action is what are all the set of actions, like full access is an action, read access is an action, create user is an action, list user is an action. And what is this resource? What are all the resources? This particular thing is going to be applied. So this is basically treated as star. That means that this allows the allow on all the resources that you are going to use basically. So we'll be seeing tomorrow what exactly is this particular permissions, why they are really required. And then once this is completed, then what we need to do is that every user is not really interested to log into this AWS management console and then start doing these particular operations. Okay, so for that particular purpose, they start using another type of operation. That another type of operation is nothing but your CLI. What does that CLI stands for? CLI stands for, what does that CLI stands for? CLI stands for command line interface. CLI stands for this command line interface. So that's the reason what we need to do is that when I go on to this place here, so when I go on to this place, what I have is I have this command line prompt that exists. When you open this command line prompt, you will be able to see this one here. From the command line prompt, whatever all the operations that you're doing on this Amazon management console, I'll be able to do it from this place here also as well, AWS version. So we'll be talking about that Amazon command line interface tomorrow. And okay, we'll be discussing more about these users, roles, and policies once again. I'll be helping you to create a new inline policy, because till today we have been discussing only about the managed policies, but tomorrow I'll tell you how to create your own user-defined policies also as well. And once we see this one, we'll talk about this CLI, the command line interface, and then we'll also talk about how we can have the option of accessing the AWS through this command line interface. Those topics we'll talk, and then on Friday we'll be talking about how to create an EC2 instance. Like when you want to spin a server on AWS, how to do this EC2 instance we'll be doing. Then we'll be doing this S3 bucket also as well next week. Once these things are completed, I told you, right? Networking, database, compute, and then IAM. These are the 4 things that are really required. I just want to make sure that I complete these concepts thoroughly to make you understand and then comfortable, okay, before we start doing a dive into that data engineering and data analytics. Okay, so if you have any questions, please text me in WhatsApp, or you can call me tomorrow morning. People of Harsha Trainings and Visual Path, they can contact me through your instructor coordinators. I can talk to you. This will go till Friday. And Friday, as I promised, that we'll be having those 5 demo sessions that I told you. From Monday onwards, kindly cooperate with your organizers, whoever has brought you to this particular place, not to me, like people of Visual Path and people of Harsha Trainings. Please get yourself registered so that we'll be meeting on Monday, and other people will get in touch with you very shortly. Okay, this is how the course is going to go. I'm going to share this particular recording as soon as the recording is done, and you please follow this particular recording and then make sure that you practice this one. Without practicing, it will be difficult. Practice this one. I'll share you this particular PPTs also as well every day to make sure that you are comfortable. But our ultimate goal is trying to focus ourselves towards certification. Once you certify, then only you'll be able to confident of facing the interviews, and then you can get into the jobs. So I'm not saying that certification is a mandate thing, but it is good. That will elevate the chances of getting your resume shortlisted in January or February. Okay.
Hi Ravi, Kabil here, quick question. So you said certification, right? What kind of certification you were referring here for this data
And one more
engineering?
thing, Ravi garu, can you please post in our group something like it will be 5 minutes delayed. So one thing that I'm telling you here is today AWS has released a separate certification for data engineering. Okay, that is AWS Certified Data Engineer beta version they have released today. And there is one more thing called as AWS Certified Data Analytics Specialty. These are the two certifications that we'll be focusing on. Okay, those details I'll tell you tomorrow, and then we'll take it from there. Is that okay with you, sir? Hello?
Yeah, I'm good. Yeah, thanks, Ravi.
Yeah, we'll do that one tomorrow. Okay. Thank you so much for your wonderful cooperation, and then see you tomorrow, guys.